Peter Hotez, a name that's trending right now across all of social media, most likely because he's been challenged to a debate with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Joe Rogan. And while you're all chasing after the noise of a debate that will never happen, you may be missing the actual signal coming at you full speed ahead. This is the Dr.Jane Ruby Show, and you're about to enter Truth in Medicine. Welcome to the Dr. Jane Ruby Show on this Monday, June 19th, 2023. Well, it's really interesting because I'm impressed with the trending numbers on a man named Peter Hotez. But who is he really? I mean, on paper, a Texas pediatrician who, like many other murderous physicians in our country, has been a rampant and giddy champion for the C-19 bioweapon shots, especially in children. But lately, people are talking about him because he's actually been challenged to a debate by Joe Rogan, who wants him to come back on his show and spar with pseudo-anti-vaxxer Robert Kennedy Jr. I say pseudo because Kennedy picks and chooses what he's against in the vaccine world. There are many video clips of him across the internet declaring his undying love for almost every other type of vaccination. And he's never denounced it or asked them to be removed or said that he has changed his position. Anyway, this challenge to debate has garnered attention in part because the kitty is in the seven figures and growing, supposedly to go to his favorite charity. It looks like Dr. Hotez's favorite charity is Dr. Hotez. But if you look behind the noise, you'll find some really frightening signals. And that's what I want to share with you tonight. As far as I'm concerned, it's not about the debate. Hotez is way beyond the enticements of fame and money. He's already sold out his soul, his being, his body, his spirit, and anything else he owns, including his daughter apparently, to much wealthier overlords than even Kennedy or Rogan can muster. Picture one is a meme created by someone on Twitter to depict that view. Just like a race car driver, you see Dr. Hotez here. It's actually very cleverly done. But when you look at the follow the money types of documents, this is actually a very accurate depiction. But Dr. Hotez started out, like many other frontline experts of sorts on both sides of this operation. Take a look at video one that makes my point. Please roll video one.
One of the things that we're not hearing a lot about is the unique potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines.
And that's the vaccine that you worked on?
That's right.
Some people call it people's vaccine for the world.
We need a simpler technology that we could scale for the world, and that's what we're doing. And we think this could be the vaccine to finally vaccinate the Southern Hemisphere.
The people's vaccine for the world? Pretty scary stuff if you ask me. But he has changed, and he has been changed by the money. A recent tweet by someone named Land Snark says, and I quote, Dr. Peter Hotez, the bow-tie-wearing chief grifter in Houston's medical center, has taken billions in grant monies from the NIH, CDC, FDA, and many others over the last decade. Nothing more than meat puppets now, he says. And take a look at picture number two. Another tweet way back from 2021 by someone who calls themselves Hokey Pokey. And Hokey Pokey said, quote, research grant number RO181098775, entitled, quote, RBD, recombinant proteins-based SARS vaccine for biodefense, amounting to over $1 million per year. That's per year. Was awarded by Dr. Anthony Fauci's NIAID to Professor Peter Hotez of Baylor College of Medicine as the project leader. Clearly, the money blew in. lots and lots of money blew in. Take a look at picture number 3, which is a compilation of grants awarded to Hotez by the Albert Sabin Vaccine Institute, totaling millions of dollars just between 2018 and 2022. This is in addition to the NIH, CDC, FDA, and whatever other, Fauci's NIAID funding, okay? This is huge. And on his own website, okay, Professor Peter Hotez, it says, MD, PhD, received $6.1 million in NIH grants for lab-generated chimeric SARS-related coronavirus, headed up by Dr. Shi at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That kind of feels like gain of function, doesn't it? Like Dr. David Martin would say, it kind of feels like gain of function on a coronavirus headed up by a Chinese partner at the Wuhan lab. It has been reported that Hotez has pushed vaccines and lockdowns hard. I think you can see a lot of that in social media. But now he has his own COVID vaccine, which I'll get to in a minute. In between 2019 to 2022, the NIH gave his employer, Baylor, $1.3 billion. I want to make sure you know that was a B and not an M, billion. So it seems we have thousands of Fauci's and Ralph Barracks and Peter Daszak's. Take a look at picture number 4. Clearly, Hotez is an extension of Fauci. In this tweet, he's drooling over his mentor, 2019 photo, where he was being stuffed with goodies already to get ready for the 2020 COVID scamdemic. He's basically a bioweapon architect, according to his own website, and he has tragically focused on nailing the children. Many of you know in my work over the last 3 years, I've said my main focus is to protect children from this poison and our military because we're going to need them. Well, he has tragically focused on nailing kids, especially in poor, underdeveloped countries. And take a look at picture number 5. Here, in this picture, he proclaims, I believe, this is a tweet, I believe if we are serious about protecting our kids, we must mandate COVID vaccines for school entry for those 12 and up and for teachers and staff, close quote. He later went on to recommend it for much younger children. The numbers don't lie. Pharma whore caused all kinds of issues by developing his own vaccine in India? And who is this guy? I mean, by what authority or representation is he the authority in health? Even Joe Rogan nailed this overweight, bloated guy trotting around with what appears to be unhealthy teeth. Please roll video number 2.
You should still get your influenza vaccine if you haven't gotten it. The level of flu activity is still pretty high.
I'm not as cautious about my diet as I should be. I'm a junk foodaholic, actually.
Well, that seems like a terrible thing for your health.
It is a terrible thing for my health.
So if you've not gotten your flu vaccine, now's the time to do it.
Do you take vitamins?
I don't take vitamins.
Really?
Yeah. I
Wow.
don't think they do. I don't think they're needed because most in
What?
the American.
Hold up. You don't think they're needed while you're eating junk food?
Well, hopefully I'm not only eating junk food.
Okay,
right?
but you know there's a large body of clinical research on the efficacy of vitamins, especially vitamins D, vitamins B.
I have taken vitamin D for periods, on the recommendation of my internist.
This new bivalent booster that's available seems to have some cross protection against XBB. So if you've not gotten your bivalent booster, this is my most important message over this holiday week, is get that booster. Now's the time to get it if you haven't gotten it yet.
You would have a much better argument, don't you think?
You're making my wife stay here.
If you're taking care of yourself 100% instead of
but you still need your vaccines.
But you got to get that new bivalent booster, and very few Americans are accepting it right now. So there's a vulnerability there, and I'm worried that the hospitalizations will continue to climb.
Now, I'm not a big aficionado of Joe Rogan, truth be told, but I have to give the guy credit for that one. In my opinion, what I think is most concerning about Peter Hotez, though, are two other things. Number one, he is a purveyor of fear porn, which is essentially necessary to cover up these crimes against humanity, right? Take a look at my picture number 6. This is a collection of his Twitter posts that are clearly attempts to control the narrative, to promote masking, lockdowns, quarantining of full U.S. citizens, full of healthy people. Who the hell died and left him public policy czar? Well, we know this isn't about public health, right? By now, you should know, after the work of Catherine Watt, that I've promoted on my social media over and over again to help educate people. By her work, it is a military operation, and he has been front and center. Some of the comments include, let me go over them here for you. Quote, "We must halt a Delta transmission through vaccination," even though that was all debunked, right? And you'll see some of these other here on this picture circled. And he says, and we must change the definition of vaccination and what it means to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated, as I was disappointed when the FDA and CDC voted down universal third mRNA vaccinations and immunizations, end quote. And then he says, we need to vaccinate the kids. It's imperative to do this to protect them from hospitalization and long COVID. From this supposed pediatrician regarding a flu with an almost 100% recovery rate in children. But my personal favorite, is his tweet about a year ago where he says, quote, "Looks like I've been tested positive." And it's on this sheet, by the way, if we still have that up. "Looks like I've tested positive for COVID." P.S. with the fake PCR. And he says, moderate symptoms, headache, sore throat, etc., etc. But he goes on to say, I'm grateful. Here's the narrative. I'm grateful to have been vaccinated and boosted, which certainly prevented more severe illness. Just started Paxlovid. Hotez is fear porn. He uses fear porn because he was paving the way for his own vaccine. Don't believe me? Please roll video number 3. Take a look.
When the mRNA shots failed again and again, it was a perfect opportunity to market his product.
The vaccine that's now been given to almost 20 million kids in India, and looking along something along those lines, I think has to be on the table.
And that's the vaccine that you worked on?
That's right.
Some people call it people's vaccine for the world.
We need a simpler technology that we could scale for the world, and that's what we're doing. And we think this could be the vaccine to finally vaccinate the Southern Hemisphere.
After having been shelved years before, Hotez's product was kickstarted with funding from the JPB Foundation, created from the wealth of the late Jeffrey Pickauer, who made $5.1 billion in the infamous Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. In December 2021, Hotez got his wish as the Indian government gave emergency use authorization to his Corbevax product. But in April 2022, after 30 million adolescents had been injected, it was revealed that the Indian government had broken its own testing protocol and ignored the concerns of its top regulatory body. Instead of pulling the product, its emergency use authorization was expanded to include even younger children. By the fall of 2022, 70 million Indians were injected. Botswana and Indonesia have...
The corruption in the rot is so deep and so wide, I now do believe that it is going to take generations to clean it out. The second thing I want to mention that I think is most dangerous about him, in addition to all the other things I just outlined, is that he advocates criminalizing medical and scientific free speech. According to investigative reporter Dan Cohen, quote, "The problem with Peter Hotez isn't that he wants to beat or defeat and debate RFK Jr. It's that he's a dangerous sociopath who wants the U.S. government to criminalize dissent and throw anyone he accuses of anti-science aggression in prison. A little dictator in a lab coat and a bow tie. And Hotez wrote in a recent article in Scientific American, declaring vaccine hesitant people were basically extremist, his words, extremist, right-wing terrorist. And he called for criminalizing questioning the science. Like, this is right out of Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, right? Rule number 12. Okay, please bring in picture 7. This is not a list of the rules, but while you're looking at my picture number 7, remember Alinsky's rule number 12. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. So he calls people who attempt to ask questions and perhaps disagree with him, whether they're in the lay public or their fellow scientists, neo-fascists, anti-science people, right? And then he attaches that label to Republicans. There's no proof of all that. He does call people neo-fascists while he at the same time, calls for their voices to be suppressed through censorship, simply because they're asking for open discussion and debate. In picture number 8, reporter Dan Cohen tweeted, take a look at this. Peter, in Cohen's opinion, he says, Hotez is a frontman for a gigantic USAID/Gates Foundation neglected tropical disease industrial complex that conduct pseudo-medical experiments and exploited populations in Africa, Latin America, and South Asia. What he has done is advocate for criminalizing the public's right to full and informed consent and the right to query scientific authorities for justification and to question, and conflicts of interest, suspected conflicts of interest among those who claim to be scientific authorities. We have a right to know if someone is pushing or advocating a particular treatment or drug, if they've been handsomely paid by pharmaceutical companies, right? These are the tactics used by people like Robert Malone, the self-proclaimed inventor of the mRNA vaccines, as he sues me for $25 million in defamation for asking questions and for suing Dr. and Mrs. Peter Breggin, each for another $25 million for their comments and questions. These are indeed dark and dangerous times. The only disinfectant is truth and light. Now, when I return, I'm going to show you yet another new C-19 bioweapon shot that was just approved by the UK authorities, the regulatory authorities, the equivalent of their FDA. This was developed in South Korea, but more importantly, I'm going to show you how they skipped over the important phases of human research, and I'm going to prove it to you using their own documentation. But first, thank you tonight to my title sponsor, Goldco, for placing over $1 billion worth of physical gold and silver as they help people to protect portions of their retirement investments during these very volatile times. They've been with me for almost 2 years. Loyalty, good customer service, and they know what they're doing. You can't beat that. Call them today at 855-791-2619 and get your free IRA Gold Kit to learn more. You owe that to yourself. That's 855-791-2619 or the link in my link stack below. I'll be right back. Don't go away. I've been promoting the Triad Air purification products for over 18 months now. First, because they're incredibly effective at cleaning and maintaining the air in your home. But after hearing from thousands of people in my social media that they've experienced relief from the symptoms they previously suffered around people who took the jabs, I had to get the word out. This electrostatic filtration process cleans every area of your home using a pulse negative ionization that actually electrically charges the air molecules, maintaining a cleaner, fresher breathing space. The big home unit protects up to 3,000 square feet, and the individual products keep your car, hotel room, or your personal space protected. Go to airwaterhealing.com today, and if you use the promo code RUBY, you'll not only get 10% off and free shipping, but right now you will get the other 3 products for free. Don't miss this great offer. Go to airwaterhealing.com. The best antioxidant formulation I've seen yet was developed by Dr. Zev Zelenko, and it's his Z-Stack formula. I take it every day. It's got an incredible collection of ionophores and antioxidants, and you should too. It's called Z-Stack, and you can find it at zstacklife.com/Ruby. If you enter the promo code Ruby, you'll get a special discount on your purchase. That's zstacklife.com/Ruby. Welcome back to the Dr. Jane Ruby Show tonight, to my second segment. I want to make you aware of a new C-19 bioweapon shot that's just been approved and authorized, believe it or not. And just like all the others, it supposedly has great efficacy. It can be used in any population, and it was developed by a little company in South Korea who got lucky to get it approved in its first Western country or group of countries, the UK. It's called SKYCovion, and I can tell you that the UK citizens are in for a hell of a propaganda ride. I can't believe that anyone would continue to take these shots, especially over there. But first, I want to share with you one of the things they boast about is a secret sauce of an adjuvant called ASO3. And just like Novavax brags of its Matrix M, these really cool sounding names for, we have a magical adjuvant. Adjuvant basically means something that you put your material into. In other words, the fluid through which you are injecting that. It is an additive of sorts. It could be a preservative. It could be, but these adjuvants are getting more and more dangerous. Okay, anyway. In terms of Novavax and SKYCovion, when they talk about their adjuvants, again, Novavax, look it up, Matrix M. Actually, that's saponin. It's a very irritating, toxic chemical, and they get away with it, putting it in and then directly injecting it into you. And then SKYCovion, this new one with ASO3, has squalene in it. We're just gonna throw in and that's what they're disclosing, right? So much more in there that we don't even know. And by the way, want to make mention, if you haven't seen it on social media yet, there is a great clip that someone sent me of Dr. Urso when he describes how all of these do not stay in the arm. I reported on that 2 years ago because we had the Swedish hepatic cell studies. We had enough data to at least warn people. I would have liked to have warned people of the dangers, right? That it does leave your arm, that it does get into every cell in the body, that it does integrate in your human genome. Like he says, a virus needs a door open, but a lipid nanoparticle, right? Nano, it can just go right through the cell wall like magic. It just needs a crack, and it is its own crack. Okay, great job, Dr. Urso. We've never met, but I had my doubts about you, but I think you're a good guy. And I thought that was an incredible, I don't know when that was taped, but it was good information for the public. Anyway, they claim they're putting these adjuvants, these, really magical matrix things in there to jumpstart the immune system. Well, why don't they leave it the hell alone to begin with? Okay. The package insert is, to me, the smoking gun of the crime. Why do I say that? The package inserts are the dead giveaways. These are the materials that are often labeled prescriber information or information for doctors. Yeah, you want to read that, whether you're a doctor or not. In my estimation, after 20 years in the pharmaceutical industry, on the medical side, it was not in sales or promotion or C-suite that's commercial, anything like that. Your package insert is usually the dead giveaway to the fraud and the illegal authorization, according to that I've outlined in my Ruby affidavit. It's a dead giveaway to the fraud and the illegal authorization of these products. You can always find, it's called a PI, a package insert, a prescriber's information, and it's always the same format. It looks exactly the same. It's got the indication, what it's made of, what the dosage strengths are, and it goes on to show you information, or it should, where there are warnings, concerns. What about taking them with, if you have pre-existing medical conditions? What about drug-drug interaction? And the way they get the information to put in those sections is by doing the proper phases of studies. Phase preclinical, which is animals in petri dishes, phases 1 through 4. I'll leave off 4 on the other end because that is technically post launch or post approval observation. Not that it's not important, it just is not what is supposed to be done before you get your drug approved. Phase 1, small numbers of healthy people. That's where you do your pharmacokinetics. You look at how the drug is absorbed, how it's excreted, where does it accumulate? How many hours does it take to get a steady state? What's the dosage required to get a steady state of drug in, drug out? Okay, because the body's always working to eliminate. So much important information. Lethal dose 50, drug-drug interaction, lots and lots of things. These companies don't do it. They get away with not doing it at all. And then when you look at their package insert, okay, they're just one sentences. Look I could show you over and over again. Single sentences. That's all. You know why? There is no information. There is no information. There is insufficient information. You know why? Because they didn't do it. They didn't study it like they always have up until this takeover of our country, till this DOD operation hit in full force. I mean, there was corruption and all kinds of other shenanigans, but nothing like this. They didn't leave out the studies. And look, you can find this information on their website. It's in plain sight. It's in the public domain. Or anywhere on the internet. You can just put in SKYCovion package insert, okay? And it'll bring you up a PDF of it. Make sure you look at this, what I'm telling you is the summary for prescribers, because this is the information rather that they do put together for patients, for the layperson, is BS. It's paltry. It's filled with lies by omission, and it lacks full and informed consent. Okay? You're not informed at all. Trust me. How can you give your consent? Now, as I move through the prescriber documents, I see, like I just pointed out to you, I visually see huge gaps in what should have been their due diligence. Under let me take a look. Under contraindications. In other words, under what conditions should you not take it? Single sentence, nothing, because they didn't do it. It's crazy. I mean that they're getting away with this. Barely a sentence. Concurrent illnesses, no real information given. No real information. Pregnancy, insufficient information. Just directions to go talk to your doctor if you're pregnant. Oh, I'm sure that'll be really informative. Breastfeeding, unknown whether SKYCovion is excreted in breast milk. Yeah, because you didn't study it. You didn't study it in the animals, pregnant animals, mammals, to see if it came through the breast milk. Then you could have saved and spared a lot of babies that suffer. Fussy, uncomfortable. Who knows what they're suffering with? They can't talk. They just cry, and they can't feed. Filthy pigs. Special warnings and precautions for use. It's one of the first things I used to go to with a new drug, as a prescriber before I even considered prescribing it for anyone. Unbelievable. And the propensity to cause cancer, insufficient information, concurrent illness, nothing. How irresponsible, how criminal. This is criminal. It's fraud. It's a total and complete fraud. I spent 20 years in this industry on the medical side, working on teams that developed these package inserts. These are the legal documents that are hammered out with the FDA or any regulatory equivalent, and they're supposed to be based on extensive preclinical and clinical studies. And the reason this document I've shown you is so devoid is because they got away with not doing anything. In this product, when you look a little closer, you're instructed to mix the contents of 2 vials, 2 multi-dose vials. Oh gosh, there couldn't be any medication errors there, right? When we had the Pfizer vials that had 6 doses in it, some a-holes withdrew the entire vial and stuck it into 5-year-old kids, 6 doses of this poison. And with this product, once you mix it, there will be 10 doses in your vial. 10 doses of 25 micrograms each of recombinant COVID-19 subunit lipid nanoparticle produced in E. coli and Chinese hamster ovary by recombinant DNA technology. Okay, that was not just my opinion I just stated to you. Gee, why am I discomforted by the use of Chinese hamster ovary DNA? So far, this little gem has not been approved or authorized by any other Western countries, although the EU Commission apparently, according to my sources, is considering it. Surprise, surprise. But the MHRA, which is the UK equivalent of the FDA, has licensed it. And they are offering it to people who have already had multiple COVID injections. One person's mother received a text message inviting her to take a SKYCovion booster and said, "We cannot actually tell you which vaccine you will receive, but it may contain squalene." What is this, Russian roulette with vaccines? We're going to give you some booster. You can come for the SKYCovion, but we're not really sure you'll get that. How are you accepting this anywhere in the world? How? If you're asking why the MHRA would approve this in the UK, I would say good old-fashioned follow the money. This ends when we make it end, my friends. This ends when we make it end. That's it. Bottom line. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this, both segments. If you're inclined to support me in this vexatious lawsuit against free medical speech and inquiry, to hold scientific authorities responsible, please go to givesendgo.com/protect Dr. Jane. And don't forget to follow me and subscribe to my Rumble channel, always free. And you'll be able to find all of my presentations there. That's rumble.com/Dr. Jane Ruby. And of course, I'm on all the social media that matters. Twitter, Gab, Getter, Truth Social, Cloud Hub. And anyway, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with me tonight. I hope you all have a blessed night. Thank you again for your prayers and your great support. Good night, everyone.